Well, good afternoon from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where the Gettysburg Film Festival continues at the biggest freaking high school I have ever seen. Yesterday we saw a talk with Ken Burns. We're going to see another one out here today, which will probably be our final panel of the weekend, which has been really fun and kind of counterintuitive, right? Gettysburg, Civil War, and yet the theme of this weekend has not been 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg, but 1776, both in honor of the 250th birthday of America and because the headliner, Ken Burns, obviously just finished his series about the American Revolution. And right outside the high school and the big auditorium where most of the panels and screenings are going down, the living history camp full of soldiers from the American Revolution is still very much alive and well for the last day of the film festival. I didn't notice this yesterday. The American Battlefield Trust has got a whole pile of revolutionary coats and hats. People are dressing up and getting fun pics out here. As I mentioned yesterday, we don't get a lot of Revolutionary War reenactors in Southern California, where I'm from. It's been a very fascinating learning experience for me. And the thing I've been most impressed by is just the variety of different uniforms. Look at this. Look at the diversity of shoes. Are these considered slippers or moccasins?
Moccasins.
So, okay, so this is something you'd have to make to replace your leather shoes once the toe was busted out like yesterday? Okay. Look at this. These guys are giving the crowd here all this information about the equipment, the accoutrement. I love that word. Of all the soldiers. And yes, I always think of Winnebago Man. Look at those muskets right there. Dude, I love seeing these guys out here. There's something so awesome about it. It's like I can't turn away. Look at this. It's fun for the whole family. Now, all these guys and gals look fantastic. But there's no gainsaying it. The stars of the show have been the mounted troops, or actually, more accurately, their mounts, the horses. Now, when I walked up yesterday, just because I'd seen the Patriot and I saw this little fuzz, this little fringe, this little bear skin on top of the helmets, and I wasn't used to the green, I thought maybe these guys were British. But it's Moylan's Light Dragoons, right? So it's an American unit. Okay, see, I never saw the green before yesterday, so I got confused. Plus, I saw the Patriot, so the fuzzy hat confused me.
Tarleton wore a helmet just like this.
And it's bearskin?
It's bare, and it's rolled, and it's stuffed. And the whole idea is to deflect a saber.
Oh, okay.
Take a saber blow and cushion and deflect and deflect.
Really? So it's practical?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, okay, that's amazing. Yeah, not a lot of bears, I guess, get pierced by sabers, so.
No, it's not you don't pierce with a saber.
Right, you whack.
If you think about it, if I'm moving forward with a horse,
yeah,
and I decide to take my saber and pierce something, where's all that force going to go?
Yeah.
It's going to go right up my arm.
Yeah, and then you're going off your horse. Yeah, okay, I never thought about that.
So
you want to slash.
The curved for slashing.
Yeah.
So you're using the edge blade, and you're going to slash with it.
I love that.
You're not stabbing people.
Okay.
If you stab somebody on a horse, and you're moving.
Right.
The momentum is going to take you off the horse.
Okay. See, I'm learning. I like that. So tempted to complain about it being pretty warm out here already at noon, but it was freezing the other day, and I told Allie here to smack me if I complained about being too hot. Okay, if you were wearing red in the Continental Army, weren't you afraid someone would think you were British?
Well, it's not the exact same color, right?
Okay.
The cut of the coat's different, okay? They don't have the facings. Like a British coat would have had different color facings.
Right.
Facings. This is really a militia uniform.
So they would be able to tell the difference?
They'd tell the difference.
Okay.
So I would have been, militia, called out every few weeks, every month or so, fight locally. I could be a merchant, like a bookseller or something like that.
Was this a specific militia's uniform?
No.
Or was it just sort of everybody's got what
they...
they...
It's really a civilian coat.
Okay.
So
everyone throws on what they've got.
I have two civilian coats. I have this as a long coat. This is more of a New England style coat because it's long. You see how long it goes in the back?
Yeah.
And it's all one color. So the cuffs, the collars, all the same colors. This tells you it's New England style cut.
Gotcha.
And the facings and stuff. I have a mid-Atlantic one as well that's green, but it has a brown collar and brown cuffs because they use different color cuffs.
Okay, just depending where you were from.
Yeah. It's shorter too because it's not as cold mid-Atlantic, so they have a shorter coat.
We just think of the paintings and we think of like blue guys versus red guys, and then you don't hardly anyone's wearing blue out here. Everyone's a motley mix.
We're also early war. We're like 75, 77 here.
So at the beginning.
It didn't get standardized until 77 until the French helped us.
Gotcha.
They sent over a lot of wool for us. We didn't have the resource. They couldn't do it internally here. We didn't have enough sheep. We didn't have enough spinners and stuff like that. So we had to take whatever we got leftovers. So
That's so cool.
That's how it worked back then.
Well, I love that. I'm learning just by you wearing that today. I'm learning something.
About 70 grams of powder in here.
Oh my gosh.
Normally you'd have a ball on top of it, you know, so when you tear it off, you'd have the ball.
So you bite off the paper, stuff it down the musket. I'm assuming that's a musket.
So this is a British musket here.
Okay.
See, a 1762
Oh.
Brown Bess. So this was standard musket used during the French Indian War as well as the Revolutionary War.
Okay, so
By the
these they would have
British.
had access to these over
Yes, it could
here.
have been left over from the French Indian War. They could have stolen it from a British unit. So they could have brought it home after the war, French Indian War, and just used it, you know, for shooting turkeys and deer and stuff like that.
That's
okay?
awesome. So where do you actually load it in?
Yeah, so what you would do is you'd pull here, you'd bite off the top of the cartridge here.
Okay.
You have to have at least a tooth on top and bottom to get the good bite
Yeah.
A lot of the guys had bad teeth back then, so you had to
Have at least 2 or 3.
That's 2 or 3, right? Then you prime the pan here, okay? So that's the pan. It's
Okay.
a little touch hole there.
Yeah.
Okay. And you close it up. You cast, because cast about, you dump the rest of the powder down the barrel here, okay? And then the ball on top of it. Then you use a rammer, you pull the rammer out, okay? You pull the rammer out, and you jam everything down as far as it
Oh my
goes.
gosh. How do people not poke each other's eyes out standing
I
next
know.
to each other like that?
They could do all these motions, load and fire 3 times in a minute back then.
Well, I imagine this gets really hot too
Yes.
when you're firing, so...
After you fire like 6 or 7 rounds, this comes boiling hot. You can only hold it by the wood.
Oh my
So
gosh.
when we're shooting, you know, in the woods or running around, you have to hold it only by the stock because
Yeah.
you'll burn your hands. It's really, really hot because it's flames from here to the end.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it shoots
So
out.
those guys probably burning their fingers, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so after you said 1777.
Yeah, 77 and later.
Little
That was
support
pretty
from the
standardized
French,
then.
and then
Yeah.
we got the
Got a lot more wool.
dapper uniforms over there. Although that looks that looks even warmer.
Oh, it's warm for sure. This is what you see is the ideal uniform.
How much water could you even carry with you? Just those canteens I saw on the blanket kind of thing?
Canteens.
And you just hope that you have. Well, I mean, there's a lot of water on the East Coast. At least you weren't in New Mexico or something. But yeah, that's.
Wouldn't be wearing wool if we were out there.
And it's so this is wool.
Yes.
So you be sweating pretty profusely marching around in that.
This is thicker wool than you could buy at any fabric store now as well.
Oh my gosh.
It's insult to injury. It is some of the thickest wool.
Oh, you're being called to duty. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You guys look amazing. All right, the men are called away to duty to do some shooting out here, a little firing demonstration. I don't know where we're supposed to stand for safety purposes, but look at these men. Look how good they look. These are some dapper gents right here. Now they're forming up the ranks. More men are joining the line. I love that they have some kids over there with their wooden guns participating. Allie just took like so many big steps back, like, I don't know about this. Oh yeah, the line is getting longer. How's that guy gonna do a firing demonstration? He doesn't even have a rifle or a musket, he's got a pike. He's carrying a pike. Oh.
Not one. Man, you guys are letting the kids do the dirty work.
I would join, but I don't even have a pike. Look at this, we got the news out here. Headline story. The revolution has begun. Okay. They are now sorting themselves by height.
Sizing and forming a company of infantry in 2 ranks.
Dude, they did that so quickly. They sorted themselves out by height. So fast.
Now, I'm going to count you out as odds or even.
Dude, these guys are made of tough stuff. I'm not wearing any wool, and even I am sweating. And no, this is not a leather jacket. Everybody always thinks that. It's a very light denim jacket just to keep the sun off. But enough about me. Okay, he split them into even and odds. The odd soldiers stepped forward. These are all the odd guys in the army. They're basically demonstrating all the right face, left face, about face, how they form up the ranks, all this different stuff, and drilling. I know most of these people are sitting here thinking, come on, just shoot the guns, which is why all those guys joined up, right? I'll join up and I'll get to shoot a gun. And then what did they end up doing? Drilling. So in that way, it's pretty realistic. This is awesome, dude. This is so freaking fun. We need some of these guys in California. We could hang out at Knott's Berry Farm. It's pretty cool watching this. It's just like what they did at Valley Forge, except much less cold. All right, they've come down to where They're not gonna shoot anybody's eye out down on the field, so they could be shooting out this way, away from the crowd. There they go, marching away. We'll see if they turn towards us. Oh no, they're still pointing away. I missed the first round.
Take ready.
Oh, here they go.
Take aim. Fire. Fire.
Here they go again.
Fire.
Ooh.
Run and load.
Dude, this is awesome. Dude, I wouldn't want to be British at the Gettysburg High School today. You'd be taking your life in your own hands.
Fire. Fire.
Dude.
Take care. Halt. Halt. Division, make ready. Make ready. Freeze it. Freeze it. Fire.
Oh, here they come. They're wheeling about. Literally. Oh no. I don't want to be in the line of fire. Get out of the way. All right. Ooh. I don't like that. I know what I'd rather get, a bullet or a bayonet, but probably a bullet. They're getting a round of applause. I think this demonstration might be over now. Dude, that was awesome. I love this. Look at this soldier being interviewed. And the general is supervising. Better not slip up. All right. They are almost done out here. And so am I. Time to go see Ken Burns one last time. Well, one last time for us. And then because I have forced Allie to participate in so much history and stand out in the sun so much, I owe her some time in the shops of Gettysburg, particularly the ice cream. This is awesome, man. Just like cosplayers make conventions, the living history reenactors definitely make these history events and anniversaries. And now as they prepare to strike their tents, I'm striking mine from the battlefield out here. Because my arms are getting Ken burned. Dude, what a fun one. Great start to the day. Look at this. They're literally bringing people here to see Ken Burns by the busload. Dude, they're genius here. They got little snacks. They got the popcorn. There are books for sale out here. They've been doing book signings out here this weekend. Look at this. A book signing by Annette Gordon-Reed. I think we're going to actually see her out here today, I hope. And this blew my mind yesterday. The size of this auditorium. See, just look at this. What the heck? Gettysburg invaded again. This is going to be Sam Waterston and Ken Burns, so packed house. Running down to our little media seats over here. Oh, reserved. I like that. All right, one more history presentation, and then we are off to town to get Allie some ice cream so that I can remain alive, remain among the living. All right, there he is again, Ken Burns. Going to show us some clips and then give us a little presentation. People really love freaking Ken Burns.
I normally would be screening a lot of clip reels, clips from various films. In this case, we're looking to have a conversation, as Jake said, between Thomas Jefferson and
Well, that was a brilliant and interesting conversation between Lincoln and Jefferson, some very eminent historians. And then Sam Waterston said, an actor up here. But it was actually, it's really good, amazing. It's been sort of the crazy theme of the weekend for me, bouncing back and forth between the era of the founding fathers and the Revolution, and then back up to Lincoln and the Civil War. And so for them to actually explore some of those ideas on stage like that in detail was very, 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 very cool. Also very cool of Allie to be patient while we were outside burning up in the Living History Camp and cooling down with a little indoor history. Because finally, at long last, we get to roll in to the town of Gettysburg and do something she wants to do. First a little coffee, then a little ice cream. If we can ever get out of here, that is. It's a little chaos at the end of every lecture. Awesome. All right, we made it through the quote-unquote traffic jam through town. Took about 20 minutes. Took a load off in the hotel for a little bit. And now we're released on a beautiful, warm, very warm, spring Saturday afternoon in Gettysburg. That's actually the place Allie wants to go over there. Mr. G's, get some ice cream in a little bit, but first, coffee. So we're gonna hook a left here and head up to Steinwehr Avenue. There's a coffee shop up there we've never tried. This will make 3 out of the 4 coffee shops that I know of. So that's pretty good. We're working our way through. I always wish I still knew some kids that went to Brookhurst Junior High School with me and came on my first trip to Gettysburg, because I never know where we stayed. I think it was up there at what's now called the 1863 Inn of Gettysburg. I think it used to be a Holiday Inn or something like that. I know we stayed in a big hotel with an interior hallway, and we went to a buffet at some place I can't remember. We bought swords from some gift shop I can't remember. Oh, Allie's checking out the Town water supply over here. The first municipal water supply was here during the battle. Highly contested spot. I love looking in here because of all the very real bullfrogs that somehow get down there and just live their whole lives. At least they got a lily pad. They got one little lily pad down there. That's Jeremiah down there. He was a good friend of mine. Luckily, I don't think this is the town's water supply anymore. Anyway, all right, taking a right on Steinwehr Avenue. This is Steinwehr. You got 400 little crystal shops. Even this is called Celestial Sweets. They got a little Annabelle up in the window. Winter dry goods with some freaky numerology on the sign and a little Cthulhu t-shirt. They got the crystal wand over here. Crystals and stones, divination tools. What's up with all the witchcraft out here? Oh, and then Jenny's Sweet Treats. We came in here last summer, which is located right next to the metaphysical shop. A lot of people died here. So apparently some folks think there's a lot of people to communicate with. And look, it's never ending. We got some more stuff down here. The haunted Gettysburg tours with the demonic eyes of Charles Manson. What a very fun pic out on the front porch. And then right past the Civil War store, Gettysburg ghost tours. So many different ghost tours you can take, but they're all of the town. You cannot take ghost tours out on the battlefield where all the people actually died because it is illegal. You need a licensed battlefield guide, and obviously the battlefield is closed after sunset. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. The Gettysburg Museum of Haunted Objects out there. I'm not saying ghosts aren't real. I don't know much about the afterlife. I've never been there. But if I was a ghost in Gettysburg, I'd get the heck out of town so people would stop bothering me. Look at this. We have all these blossoming trees in town. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but a slight breeze has picked up today. We have a lot of blossoms falling out here just in front of the hotel. It's gorgeous. Okay, coffee. Right across the street from the Dobbin House, which I showed you yesterday, built in 1776, and where Allie got some paparazzi footage of Ken Burns walking out the door when we were walking up yesterday after the last video ended, is this, the Bantam Coffee Roasters. I've never tried this place before. Oh my gosh, I thought that was a closed sign for today. It's closed for tomorrow on Easter. Happy Easter, by the way, for all of you who celebrate Western Easter. You're seeing this video on a little delay, so it might be Easter today while you're watching this, for all I know. Ooh, this place is actually really nice inside. I like this. Nice air conditioning. They roast their own coffee in here. I'm trying to pull off a white chocolate and vanilla latte, a combination I've never tried. We'll see if I regret this. I just like that they roast their own coffee here. That is awesome. Mission accomplished, although they spelled your name with an I. You're all I. Let's go outside, all I. To be fair, your name is spelled with a Y, which is non-conventional, but no one ever gets it right. I always see nice people even leaving you little comments where they spell your name wrong. On your profile, right under where your name is. Nobody gets it, A-L-L-Y. I always remember it like, ah, Allie, she's my ally. And then I got it. Oh yeah, look at them wheels. You think the Reverend Alexander Dobbin would have liked to have wheels like that? Whoa, bus! This is interesting right next door. The Victorian Photography Studio building is condemned. There's a sign on the door saying it's condemned and no occupancy is allowed. But what I thought was interesting is there's a boarded up window up there with a stencil on it that says 1-800-BOARD-UP. So there's a service for that out here. I never thought of something like that before. Call me at 1-800-BOARD-UP. I will board up all your condemned houses. Oh, what's up with all the sick wheels coming through town today? I do like this. This is all right. I'm not sure if it was my idea to mix the flavors that made it good, or they're just really good at what they do, but it's good. And conveniently located right near the cemetery and just a short walk away from Mr. G's. We figured we'd have just enough time to down these drinks before we get there and Allie gets in line to get her ice cream. Yes, there's a line. There's always a line for Mr. G's. Shirtless man. I like this part just at the south edge of town where Steinwehr meets the Baltimore Pike because it's sort of the last vestige of the really hokey, you know, a couple generations ago, touristy part of Gettysburg. The ghost tour shops, the crystals, the Jenny Wade house. Now there's an old school museum for you, Jenny Wade, the civilian girl killed during the battle while she was baking dough. Or baking bread, rather, for the soldiers. It's sort of the fun for everyone part of town over here. Miniature Salem, Massachusetts. Right on the edge of the battlefield. Actually, when we're done with the ice cream, we might go make a couple of stops up the street here towards the battlefield. There's one very odd thing up that way that I'm hoping is still open. Hoping. Just talking to somebody this morning about someone who grew up here, about how one of the things we really like about Gettysburg is the architecture. She's like, what architecture? Because she's so used to it. Well, the homes and buildings in Pennsylvania towns are a lot different than what we typically see in suburban Southern California, where we live. Yes, sir, the buildings look awfully different. There's the historic Farnsworth House that was here during the battle. Some people think the shot that killed Jenny Wade might have come out of the upstairs of the Farnsworth House, up the street to where the Jenny Wade house is, up on the left. It wasn't her house, I don't think. She was just in the house when she was shot, so now it's forever the Jenny Wade house. There's the Farnsworth House, fine dining. And then across the street, Mr. freaking G's. And look at the size of that line. That's probably why they call it Mr. G's. Like, oh, geez, look at the line. Allie said it's worth it, though. She waited in that line, a line at least that long last time we were here to get that ice cream. She was like, oh, it's so good. She's back. She's back. And I know she really wants that ice cream because there's a whole bunch of wasps flying around. And if she's willing to stand outside when there's wasps, yes, she's into it. Mr. G's at the Twin Sycamores circa 1819, so another old building. Look at that, you had a front porch view of the battle. Battlefield's off that way. You could sit on your front porch and watch the bullets fly by your head. Oh, and kitty corner over there. There's an apartment for rent, a one-bedroom apartment. I would love to stay in a furnished apartment in Gettysburg for 1 month, a whole month of nothing but Gettysburg. I'm sure the people who watch the videos would get sick of it, but I never would. Look at this as the motorcycles fade away into the background. This is a witness tree. This tree was actually here during the battle. Look at the size of those limbs up there. This tree did not skip leg day, I was gonna say, because a leg is a limb, but it's actually kind of more like an arm, so just forget I ever said anything, because that's really stupid. But yeah, look at this. This sycamore is a living witness to the Battle of Gettysburg. Abraham Lincoln passed by this tree on the way to give the Gettysburg Address. Which is true, he marched from downtown in the Diamond. They processed along this street down here, Baltimore Street, up to the grounds of the National Cemetery they were dedicating that day in November 1863, November 19th, 1863, I think, if I remember correctly, the day he gave the Gettysburg Address. Right behind the witness tree, look at this, they got the ring on the string game. So you take this ring, you stand back, and then you try to fling the ring on the thing. Right there, the ring that's on the string. There's a bee buzzing around my head. Allie would be screaming right now. Bees like to circle me to check out all the Muppets. Bees are into Muppets. Well, well, well. What have we here? Oh, look at that.
Have a good evening.
Allie got the s'mores. What was the other one you got last time?
Ghost Tracks.
Ghost Tracks. They didn't have it, but you got the s'mores. Look at that. That is one big hunk of ice cream.
I only ordered one scoop.
It's bigger than your head. That's a double-sized scoop. Well, that was really sweet. We walked away from Mr. G's, then we ran into a whole family that knew Random Land, and they knew my friend Adam, and then a mom and a daughter right after that. So we're meeting people from Gettysburg now who know the show, which is really weird. I didn't think anybody out here knew. Never know who's watching. Are you watching? Here's some of the houses they do ghost tours in and around, including the Brick House Inn over here. They've got their own ghost tours. Oh, look at that! What the heck is going on with all the classic cars? Even though the sun is up, the ghost tour time is about to start. You're about to start to see groups up and down Baltimore Street, Steinwehr Avenue, filling up the town cemetery. I don't think they allow ghost tours in the National Cemetery, although they do get to walk by the gates and all that stuff. It's just weird. Look at this. 10 minutes ago, this street was packed from stem to stern with tourists, and all of a sudden there'll be a lull and there'll be no one. It's a literal ghost town until the peak of the ghost tour time starts, or another tour bus lets out, and then all of a sudden it'll be packed again. Comes in waves out here. Weird. All right, we're just walking up the hill past the Jenny Wade house. There she is out in front with her doe. Little Jenny Wade statue action in front of the water tower, which hopefully has a lot less bullfrogs in it than the old water supply. We've never been in here. Rita's Ice, Custard, Happiness. Or the Gettysburg Cigar Company next door. In fact, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever actually been in the Jenny Wade house. I've seen lots of videos, I've seen lots of lectures by Tim Smith. He loves Jenny Wade. But there's a lot of like basic stuff here in Gettysburg I've never had time to do. I gotta make that a top priority next time. Didn't get into the Gettysburg Museum of History this time. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. And one of the weirdest is right up here up the hill. I don't know if it's camera friendly. I don't even know if it's open, but we'll see what we can see. It's right up here past Getty's Gear, which I was hoping would be open, but a lot of places are closing up early for the day, not just because of the film festival, but because Easter is tomorrow. And then right across the street from the Gettysburg Tour Center, this is where you take your battlefield tours, those bus tours and stuff. Get yourself a licensed battlefield guide. It's this Civil War Tales Diorama Museum, and you'll notice the way Tales is spelt. That's because this is all a bunch of Civil War dioramas done, instead of with human soldiers, with little diorama cats. I don't know what the photo policy is like, but I have never been in here. I've seen photos, never been inside before. Allie likes cats. I like the Civil War. Maybe this will be the perfect 1-2 punch. Oh yeah, look at this. They're open till 8 p.m. It's a cat's eye view of the battle. Okay, I knew this was gonna be awesome, but it was nothing like I expected. Stepping in here, more than 8,000 handmade, individually made clay cats are telling the story of the Civil War here, each made by Ruth or Rebecca Brown, twin sisters. Rebecca is actually here in the museum today, guiding us around. And look at this. This is Pickett's Charge at the angle where we've been, you know, on and off throughout the week. It's the most incredible diorama I've ever seen. Something about seeing the little poor injured kitties actually brings home the carnage and the toll of the battle more than anything else really ever has to me. I don't know why that is, but it is so freaking true. Just the detail, just this one diorama alone. And they started building these to scale after a number of years. I just look at all those cats. Thousands of tiny little cats representing soldiers, representing real action that actually happened on the battlefield. Then they've also got Desperation at Skull Camp Bridge in here, so a whole diorama about that. They've got a whole diorama for the Monitor and the Merrimack, and populated by little tiny cats, of course. And then the Great Locomotive Chase. You got the General and the Texas, and then you even have Camp Sumter at Andersonville Prison in Georgia. So I mean, you know, described as hell on earth, literally like one of the worst prison camps ever. All done with cute little miniature cats. There's even little miniature cat dead bodies. This is the strangest thing ever. Nice player piano going on in the museum. And then on top of it, you got the Hunley and the USS Housatonic. I can never pronounce that correctly. One of those things you read, but never have to pronounce. I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced to me. But look at this, populated by tiny little cat sailors. Look at the little cats. Fort Sumter, and they have like a bucket brigade to roll away the barrels out of the powder magazine. This is amazing. Room after room after room. Epic. That is epic. They've been making these models for 30 years, and they've had the museum open for 10 years. This is the coup de grace right here. Little freaking Round Top. This gives me a whole new appreciation for the fighting, especially on the front of Little Round Top. But then
this gave us a whole new appreciation for O'Rourke because, you know, thinking like looking at our diorama and how close they are to Hazlitt's artillery, you know, you're like, man, if you hit the 16th Michigan, which mind you is only half the regiment and their flag and commander are in the rear, and Vincent has been wounded, so they don't have their regimental commander,
right,
or their brigade commander, or their flag to rally around, and they've been fighting for over an hour. You know, so like you're gonna be hitting them on the flank. Like you roll up Vincent's flank and you can waltz right up and capture Hazlitt's artillery.
This is like one of the best depictions I've ever seen, though, of the hook down there at the end of the Union lines, the 20th Maine, all hooked backwards in the forest. Wow.
This is the Oaks boulder. So nowadays, Chamberlain Avenue has been repaved.
Right.
It comes up and then loops around, goes down to their monument and back, and then across the crosswalk to 16th Michigan in the shelf. But this is the boulder where Colonel Oates' brother John gets mortally wounded.
Oh no, there he is.
So he wanted to put a marker there for the 15th Alabama after the war, and everyone was like, yeah, no. They're not admitting that the Confederates legit got in the rear of the Union Army and almost broke the 20th Maine's line.
Yeah, I mean, that's really far back.
To it so you can, you know, find the rock.
That's,
and stuff. But yeah, I mean, they're like back.
That's way farther back than I really realized.
And it's one of the, if you pay attention to where their left and right flank markers are, I think the left flank is in these rocks, and the right flank's over there. You know, so they're not that far apart.
Yeah.
You know, so if you think about it.
So, did you ever count how many cats?
Yeah, this one's got 2,650 on it.
2,650 cats?
Play rock rocks based off of photos. The cats beat them by 50. Tickets charge us $3.
Wow, I never thought about the rocks. So you made the rocks too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and look at that. Every individual cat is handmade.
Yeah, this diorama we made everything.
That is amazing. It's so cinematic. Every little spot is such a perfect little story. And then of course when Gettysburg got a Japanese sister city, what did the Brown sisters do? They had to make little miniature samurai, little kitty cat samurai. I'm dying. So many kitties. Wow. This is mind-blowing. And you got the book, the Civil War Tales official book. And then cats for sale. You can buy your own little cat in a dome. I almost missed General Meade's headquarters over here. It's just crazy to think that they make the horses. They make everything on here. Little wire sabers, little cotton ball puffs of smoke. Poor horsey right there. General Meade's headquarters, a scene of carnage and devastation. Jeez Louise. Oh, and a little Easter model right here. Look at that. An empty tomb. Wow. Sweet. When they started the museum, they had a cat. Like a live cat, right? But she was older, so she was too old to jump up on the dioramas and everything like that. So it was safe to have a cat around. Now, you couldn't risk having a real life cat in here. It might disturb all of the tiny little cats. Didn't see this either. There's so many little miniature dioramas in this place. It's easy to miss them because the huge ones in here, I mean, look at the size of that thing. You can't miss little Round Top. But then look, even on the shelves, you've got a little tiny model angel of death over here. There's Kitty Vera Brown, Mosby's Raid. Amazing. Anyway, I was gonna say, they do have a dog in here. Look at Joni over there. Sucking up all the attention. We just bought those cats in the domes. We bought every single one that we could. I need to somehow take some of this home with me to California. This is the kind of thing I think ends up in history books. You know, if it ever disappears, God forbid, you'd be like, oh, there was once this place called Civil War Tales. You'll never believe it. So it'd be so cool to have a little piece of it. One, so that's one reason to buy your own little cats available in the gift shop. Or two, even if it lasts forever, you'll be like, oh yeah, you know, 100 years ago when the creators were alive, you could actually buy yourself a little cat. This is incredible. Yeah, like I was saying, but Rebecca, she's so knowledgeable about the Civil War. She'll correct you if you're not careful. If you're too simplified. I mean, look at this. You got all the Confederate soldiers marching up the face of Little Round Top to their destruction, and then way out here, the 20th Maine, as depicted in the movie Gettysburg, famously surrounded by the Alabamians that were hooking all the way around behind the Union Army. Whew! We were almost flanked, boys. We were almost flanked. I was talking to my friend Tyler Evans from Georgia the other day. You know, he's from Georgia. I said, sorry for what we did to you boys out here, because I mentioned where I was. He's like, nah, we had it coming. Oh, wow. That is awesome. All right, Joni signing off for the night. So are we. We got to feed our Allie and then move along, pack up our stuff, and get ready to go back to Southern California and away from Gettysburg. It was so hard for me to pull myself away from this town on the best of days, and now that I know this is here, now that I've seen it with my own eyes, how will I ever leave? Dude, as Joe Gargery would say, astonishing, Pip. Astonishing. All right, Allie wants to eat down there near the Farnsworth house. This day went by so quickly. The film festival thing is so awesome. It's very, very cool to be invited. Shout out to Gettysburg History, to Andrew Dalton, and everybody involved with it, because boy, what a production. Super thanks for the invitation. But I'm not used to being indoors at Gettysburg, so we're in there for like a 2 or 3 hour talk or presentation, and you come out and you're like, oh no, we're running out of daylight. I need more battlefield time. I should have scheduled several more days to get my battlefield fix. But alas, our time is drawing to a close. We still have one more day out here, but it's supposed to be soggy and rainy and wet tomorrow, so I don't know what we'll be able to do. I don't know if anything's gonna top Civil War Tales, though. No. That was, you like that, right?
Yeah, it was cool.
You probably learned more from those cats than you ever learned about the battle before.
Yeah.
Even from Ken Burns. Sorry, Ken Burns. Ken Burns should totally add that into his Civil War documentary without explanation. Somebody should just edit in some shots of the cat diorama. Yeah. It would be so good. Nope, cancel that. Allie said too many people for her. This isn't even that crowded though. Sweeney's Tavern, rear building. Farnsworth House is the actual house and fine dining. I'm always so confused what's what, because there's also a sign over here that says Fellowship Tavern and Camp Farnsworth. What is what? I'm so confused by the signage. Well, Allie's change of heart, which is mostly due to sore feet and being very tired, because it's been a very busy 3 days. A lot of walking back and forth to places and walking around town means at least we have time for a little sunset drive onto the battlefield. And that's what I always want. I always want a little battlefield driving time, especially once the sun starts to get low or the weather starts to get nice. Like, I want to get outside. I always feel like that way in Anaheim. We just don't have a lot of outside to get to. A lot of cinder block walls and boring looking streets. Well, as the sun goes down lower and lower in the west, we decided to drive up on top of Big Round Top and take part of the trail towards the top, because this is not far really from where they filmed the Blair Witch Project. We were out at some of the filming locations last year. I kind of noticed this like a little patch of woods up near the top of Big Round Top. It's very Blair Witchy. So she popped her headphones in and she's walking down the trail here. She's like, I just want to get a vibe. I don't know what that means, but I'm here for it. Gotta support your wife. First, when I took her to the actual woods where they filmed the Blair Witch Project, it was summer, so there were thorns and leaves everywhere, bees everywhere. So even though it was fall after the leaves fell and not spring long after they've fallen from last fall, it's still pretty close enough. So she's having a little Blair Witch fun. And I am just thinking about Little Round Top, where we're going next, the site of the last moments of so many cats. This is what I'm talking about, man. You know, like if we go out for a picnic in Southern California, it doesn't look anything like this. I mean, this is just beautiful terrain to us. To me, it's the mossy boulders. I cannot get enough of those. No, but in all seriousness, yes, we love the terrain, but for me, it's also the history, right? It's all the brave men who fought and died here to preserve the Union. And just there's so many stories. So many stories out here. I've never taken this trail before. This is really neat. I feel like almost everyone has a Gettysburg battlefield ghost story but me. I never see any ghosts, just tourists, and I have seen some soldiers, but they're either reenactors or they're marble soldiers on monuments. You know, makes me wonder if a lot of people that say they were driving by in the morning and they see a soldier, if they're just seeing some of the monuments and then it's like trick of the brain kind of thing, because I could see a soldier right now off to the left. See, look at that. You know, if you were walking through the woods and you just saw a glimpse of that, what would you think? It's awesome. This is just, the trail that continues all the way up to the top of Round Top or Big Round Top. You see some of the walls here. Property lines, or sometimes thrown up by soldiers or by the Park Service or by some of the attractions that were out on the battlefield. And then across the way, the ascent up Little Round Top. You had the Alabamians running through the forest over here, trying to flank the Union Army, trying to go around. And then, of course, Union soldiers down here eventually, because obviously a lot of the ground changed hands over and over. Like right here, this is a monument to the 10th Pennsylvania Reserves, 39th Pennsylvania Infantry, 3rd Brigade, 3rd Division, 5th Corps. At least that's what it says on the sign. I can't even imagine marching all the way up here from Alabama. And then your commanders are like, you're going to take that hill over there, boys. And then Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and the 20th Maine do a bayonet charge down on you. Look at this. I walked that trail by myself for a little ways. And Allie came to pick me up. I told her to go ahead a little further. Yeah, here we are in the valley between the two Round Tops. There's the face of Little Round Top where most of the fighting was. And then there's a little spur at the back of it where the 20th Maine was. Probably the most famous part of the battlefield, which I'm sure, in fact, I know grinds historians' gears. Like, yeah, Chamberlain, because it was in the movie. It's amazing, the visibility now. You can really see where everybody was. I'm sure you couldn't see with all the smoke, the haze of battle, and the excessive foliage that's out here in the summer. I mean, everything's all grown up. There's vines, there's thorns, and you had to march shoulder to shoulder, you know, in the ranks through this stuff. If there was a boulder, you had to step over it. A tree, you just have to kind of, yeah. Anyway, the wind is picking up. The day is winding down. I'm going to head up onto Little Round Top and then bid you guys farewell. All right, well, like the soldiers of the Civil War long ago, We have made our ascent of Little Round Top. Allie's decided to wait in the car and just let me have a moment out here so I can have a moment with you. A moment where I'd like to thank you for supporting Random Land, for watching these videos, watching all the way to the very end, sharing with your friends, all those things. It helps me to do things like support the Gettysburg Film Festival or promote a lot of these wacky sometimes attractions and different places that we go to share stories, encourage people to get outside, do a little traveling. It obviously means a lot to me personally. It means a lot to my family as well. I love that somebody has climbed up here on top of Little Round Top with their American flag, with the old stars and stripes, Old Glory. And man, what a view out here. What a view today. On a personal note, I still feel like I'm kind of finding my balance. I mean, this was an unusual weekend anyways, right? Like, I had no idea what to expect, I knew I would have a good time. I just had no idea what to expect in terms of filming or sharing it. Since the recent passing of my good friend, I've just had a really hard time, like, recovering my balance and getting sort of back into the flow. So all the extra love, support, you guys who are sticking by me, watching all these crazy, very random adventures. The show is well named, huh? Random Land. Those of you who have been encouraging me or getting copies of my book, the hats, joining Patreon, doing all those things. I see you. I appreciate you so much. It's been hard. Some things in life hit you harder than others. And yeah, I had a big hit recently. And it wasn't just that. There's been a lot of other things going on in my life behind the scenes as well. And there really is no normal for me or for Random Land. But I've had trouble, I feel like, recovering my footing a little bit. So what I'm trying to say is I appreciate the support. I appreciate all the love, kind words. And just you guys being here. Just you guys sticking around. It's supposed to be rainy tomorrow on our very last day in Gettysburg, our packing up and get ready to go home day. But hopefully we'll get out for one last adventure on the battlefield. But if not, if this is where I leave you, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching all these episodes out here in Gettysburg. Definitely support Gettysburg history. One of the primary sponsors of the Gettysburg Film Festival, the American Battlefield Trust, that does so much to preserve landscapes like this and add to them. Happy to be a member. I met the president of the American Battlefield Trust yesterday, which was a real treat. And of course, I've been friends with Gary Edelman for a couple of years. We did a video down there in Devil's Den, summer 2025, so a couple months ago together, which was he is the expert on Devil's Den. I didn't know I'd be back in Gettysburg so soon, but it's been one heck of a ride, and it's been nice. It's been nice to be out, especially out on the battlefield at the end of every day, soaking in the atmosphere. 250 years now, we have been trying to see whether this crazy American experiment would fail. Quarter millennium, though. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a lot more than 77 years now when our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. And speaking of those who gave their lives for that here on this battlefield, there's nothing better I could say than to use the immortal words of Abraham Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address. From these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out. We've done our duty. And now all that's left to do is go home and sleep well. See you next time. I just love everything about this. So this is Morris Island, Charleston Harbor.
Yeah. That
Wow.
was our first to scale diorama that we did.
Oh man, and what do we have over here? The snowball battle.
That's General Patrick Claiborne getting captured by his own guys.
Oh no,
They
look
told
at
him
that.
the first time, and then he got captured again, and so they had to figure out what to do to him since he broke his parole.
So you started the models really small.
Yeah, they
For the
started
dioramas.
About 2 inches tall, the cats.
And then the cats got smaller and smaller, and then
Yeah,
the dioramas got bigger and
as we
bigger.
started wanting to make them to scale, we already had a Pickett's charge, and so wanting to make Pickett's charge to scale but it's still a bigger bedroom means that the cats have to get smaller and the dioramas get bigger.
This is amazing. Did you make these horses too?
All but 20 on that diorama.
Wow, the
89%
detail.
of our horses are ones that we've made.
That's amazing. General Custer. Kitty Custer. Tiny Jeb Stewart. Jeb Stewart was a bad kitty.